Hello, 30-1s. Just a quick review of graphing, kind of a summary of what we've done from the last two lessons, because this is so important. So what I want you to notice here when we're doing these functions, when we're drawing them, so when we're talking about a transformed function, such as this, how I want you to do these things. Okay, the first thing that I always want you to do is I want you to draw this midline in. So on the graph that I see here, there's that midline. So this would tell me that my D value is 3. After that, what I want you to go look for is your amplitude, your A value. So again, there is a formula for this, but why use a formula when I can just count? My amplitude is 2. Just like that. Okay, my period here. I'm going to find my period, not my B value. Well, again, notice our period. There's tons of ways for us to get our period from a graph. To find the period from a graph, I could look from max to max. I could go min to min. I could go midline intercept to midline intercept. I could go max to min times 2. There's lots of different ways. I'm just going to do on this one, I'm going to go midline intercept to midline intercept. So I'm going to look from here. This is where my sine graph is starting, quote unquote, and here's where it's ending, quote unquote. So what's my period? The period of this thing is going to be 5 pi over 2 minus pi over 2. The period of this is 4 pi over 2, which guess what is just 2 pi. How does that help me with my B value? Well, B is 2 pi over P. So my B value is 1. It makes sense. This thing hasn't been horizontally stretched. So this is a 1. I'm even going to put it there. Why not? Okay, I like to build it in factored form. Theta. Now, this is the part that bugs some students quite a bit. And I understand why. What's the C value? What's my phase shift? Well, for my phase shift, I'm always looking at my midline or my median line. Do you see I've even got it labeled here? This is the sine C value because that's where my graph is on my midline going up. That means this graph has been shifted pi half units to the right. There it is. There's the equation of that graph as sine. What about a cosine graph? Well, let's figure that out. It's actually really easy. Cosine, the good news is if you can find the equation of one, you can find the equation of the other because nothing is going to change except the C value. So I just copy down all that. A cosine graph, where's my C value? Well, I've got it labeled here again. Cosine's a little bit easier to recognize because we say a cosine graph starts at a max going down. So here I would say that max is at 3 pi half. Well, it's moved over from that y-intercept. So we went 3 pi half to the right. And there is the equation of that graph in 2 different ways. That's it. So there's the order in which I want you to do these, make these functions. Okay, so what did I say? I said this. First, draw that median line. That's the average of the max and our mins. So if you want to use a formula, you could average these two things out. Then I'm going to find my amplitude. Please remember amplitude's always positive. Then I'm going to find my period. Then I'll find my B value using my period. Neither of these are on my formula sheet. Then I find my C value, which we'll look at based on each graph, sine or cosine, or reflected sine or reflected cosine. So I'll let you look at that. Depends on the graph and how you're being asked to draw it. I remember I always draw these things in factored form. And now again, my formulae, they're not on my formula sheet, but some people love them. So if you need them, amplitude is max minus min divided by 2, but you must have those absolute value bars there. My D value is my average, so it's max plus min divided by 2. Okay, there was a brief summary of the transformations of sine and cosine and how to make the equation of them.